You are listening to Beyond the Verse, a StarCitizen podcast. A show dedicated to Cloud Imperium games, StarCitizen, and Squadron 42. Whether you fight, explore, unite, and or trade, we bring you news, updates, interviews, reviews, and analysis. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a pour of Radagast, and join us as we go Beyond the Verse.
Launch sequence activated.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Beyond the Verse, StarCitizen podcast. I'm your host, Sulyce, and this is episode 129. We're going to break down the latest Alpha 4.4 PTU Patch Notes. We're going to preview the IAE 2955 FAQ that just came out a few days ago, and explore the Galactic Guide to the Nyx System, not to be confused with the Traveler's Guide to Nyx. This is something completely different. Plus, learn how to earn in-game rewards through the new Twitch drops called Welcome to Nyx campaign, and catch this week's highlights from this week in StarCitizen. Welcome in, everybody. I hope this finds you well. Goodness, do I have a quick little story for you. So if you listened to episode 128, you know that tonight was kind of up in the air, or this morning was up in the air, whether or not we were going to record this episode, because yours truly was going to be traveling to Seattle for one of my 9 to 5 job responsibilities. Well, traveling in the United States right now is, we'll just say it's difficult. Our government just reopened maybe a day or so ago. But at the time, starting last Sunday, the government was still shut down, and me and my presenting partner got royally screwed in our travel. We were canceled 4 times. We were delayed 5. So I'll just go into this story real quick. I don't know. Most of y'all like these personal stories. So let me just get into it and entertain you for a couple of seconds. So we get to the airport on Monday, already having been canceled, I think 3 times at that moment. And right whenever we got there, 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m., very, very early, we got canceled for that 4th time. And so me and my partner were sitting around waiting for 4 hours, 5 hours for the next flight to get out. And we were trying to triage. I'm over in the background getting on my work computer. I'm like, hey, what are some backup plans if this all falls through, right? Because we're presenting to 250 CEOs of suppliers, vendors, sellers. And I finally got approved at right around 10 a.m., 11 a.m. I got approved to make a video of our presentation. Guys, this is my podcasting equipment. This is my ability to post, produce, and render video. It was going to be a good product. And so I got kind of blessed off on it. And so me and my partner made the decision, a very, very tough decision, about halfway through the day, that we would much rather go back to the office and record the video than run the risk of getting to, I think I was going to San Francisco, my partner was going to Colorado, run the risk of being stranded. And then nobody gets any presentation for that Tuesday when we were going to present. So I made the call. I let everybody know, let leadership know, hey guys, I'm going to go home. I'm going to make a very good video. It's going to be great. So we get back to the office. We're squaring away some of the details of now that my partner's not really presenting, I'm going to present all of it. Different slides had to change, etc. That took us until about 2 or 3 p.m. I got home, started the recording. I went through the recording, two hours of a recording with a pre-production, the actual recording. I started to do my post-production when I got the text message from my partner saying hey, I'm really sorry that happened to you. And so in that moment, I'm like, what the heck does this mean? Am I fired for not making it to Seattle? I'm freaking out. I pull up in my cell phone. I look at my emails, and there was a decision made at the very end of like, no, we need somebody in person. They've got to present live to this audience, which I totally get. But like everything I did for the last several months, and if you've been listening to this podcast, you know I've kind of been updating you on like, hey, here's something really neat that's happening in my work life. All for naught. My presentation that I created, the script that I wrote, was presented by a few of my peers. And so I'm happy for them, really glad that it went off without a hitch. It's just right. So I don't know, bringing you up to speed on a personal note, but that's what happened over the weekend. So, hey, surprise, I was able to join Org Night last night with Soul Provision. That was a lot of fun. We did a PvP night hunting bounties, and then we found a blockade or somebody attempting to blockade the pyro jump point. So we ended up taking a full force of 28 of us and removing the blockade. That was a lot of fun. So that was good. What else? Man, we had a lot of announcements throughout the week. Not we as in Beyond the Verse, but StarCitizen, which we're going to cover obviously in this podcast, but just, it's been fun. It's been a fun, eventful last couple of days. So let's actually get into StarCitizen-y things. So yeah, last night. All right. I want to be very clear. If you are listening to this podcast and you're like, Beyond the Verse and Soul Provision and, the leader Sulyce, I like that. They're against piracy. They're against PvP, and I want to be part of a PvE organization. Y'all have misunderstood me, and for that, I apologize. But let me be very, very clear. StarCitizen is not StarCitizen without the fear of piracy, without the dynamics of PvP. And we are not about to be an organization that cannot hold our own when we're out in the verse trying to do all these other things. So we have got to get our hands dirty, our feet wet, whatever analogy you want to use. We have got to get into the sweatiness of PvP and piracy, etc. Now, I am also very clear with my officers, my board of directors, that there is a right way of doing it. So if we're going to pirate, I have a lot of principles and fundamentals that we have to do if we're going to call ourselves pirates in the moment, right? We're not going to grief, and there is a thin line, but I'm very clear about that direction. So it's never to the degree of griefing, but we will dabble in piracy. And so that was last night. Again, we pulled out some bounties. We went and pursued those bounties. I think that is obviously, I don't think anybody has an issue with going to the PvP missions, finding somebody in bounties and taking the fight to them. I don't think anybody has an issue with that. But I think where the line gets blurred is we got word on general chat of like, hey, there is a blockade happening on the pyro side of the pyro stand jump point. Okay, cool. It looks like they're wanting to fight, right? If you're going to pull a blockade and you're going to attack people coming right out of the jump point, again, still not griefing. That in and of itself is not griefing. That would probably happen. Actually, that would happen in real life. Fast forward 930 years. That would happen. So we took the fight into Pyro, and it was a lot of fun. But I want to be very clear. I've never been against piracy. I've never been against PvP. What I'm against is that little line, that gets crossed. Like, for instance, blockading a orbital station, because there is no other solution. You are literally blocking people from playing the game, right? So if they're blocking Seraphim Station and they're making it impossible to leave Seraphim Station, like there's nothing about that is piracy. Like that is literally just preventing somebody from playing the game. Not okay. Absolutely not okay. All right. I want to be very clear about that. So it was a lot of fun last night. I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks. Again, this is not a podcast promoting Soul Provision necessarily, but the next couple of weeks are going to be a lot of fun, right? So next week we have IAE. We always go to the conference center or wherever the convention is happening. It's the visitor center in Orison for this year. But we always go there as a group, a lot of screenshot opportunities. If it's your first time in StarCitizen or your first time experiencing IAE, it's a million times more fun when you're in a group of 28, org members, and you're telling stories and you're reminiscing about the ships that are on display. The Perseus will be there. So there's just a lot of camaraderie that comes out of that. Well, at the end of the night, we're going to kind of throw a curveball, and we're going to take a lot of Perseuses out, and we're going to race some Perseuses. Low fly. We're going to low fly Perseuses in Daymar. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that. And then nothing's happening the next week because it's Thanksgiving, right? So in the United States, we got that we're going to look forward to in 2 weeks. And then that week after, we're getting ready for the murder mystery that happens once a year. So we're going to throw together something very fun, very social aboard. Let's just call it a ship. Where a murder is going to take place, and there's backstory and role playing and all the other fun stuff that we do in StarCitizen. All right, everybody, this week in StarCitizen, let's go. Happy Monday, straight from the article. Things are heating up in the verse as we prepare to welcome our third star system, Nyx, to the persistent universe. Alpha 4.4 is now available on the PTU for Wave 1. Actually, at the time of reading this, it's open to all waves. So everybody has access to Nyx at this current moment, giving players an early glimpse of what's around the corner. Meanwhile, last week's Evocati testing of the tech preview brought in strong feedback, helping us fine-tune things to come. We're looking forward to opening both the Alpha 4.4 PTU and the tech preview to a wider audience soon. Stay tuned. So just real quick, the tech preview ended up becoming available to everyone as well in the last couple of days, but they had to shut it down early due to some issues that were rising. So they took it offline, I think last evening. They're going to work on it over the night into the morning, and it probably will come back online for weekend testing. There you go. Back to the article. From the first stop to the last, this year's StarCitizen World Tour was one for the books. Every city brought its own stories, laughter, and incredible connections. And we couldn't have asked for a better way to close out the year than last Saturday's StarCitizen event in Prague, Czech Republic. A huge thank you to everyone who joined us along the way, and to those who cheered from afar. You made each stop unforgettable. Now, as we look ahead to next year, we want to hear from you. Head over to our Spectrum thread and tell us where you're organizing your next event. Who knows? We might just crash the party. A couple of episodes ago, I did tell you all about the Spectrum thread. It's where you go and you pitch your location, your city, where you want to have a StarCitizen. And they do come and they do crash at the parties, right? All right, now let's see what's going on for this week really quick. It's a very, very, very quick week. So Monday, nothing happened. Tuesday, Wednesday, nothing happened. Thursday, we have the IAE 2955 FAQ, which we're getting into right after this. And then Friday, later today, we're going to have the RSI weekly newsletter. Okay, so a very light week. Again, it would have been a perfect week for me to be in Seattle and not creating a podcast. But hey, I am so happy and blessed to be part of your morning this Friday morning, or whenever you pick this podcast up between now and the next recording. All right, here we go. The IAE 2955 FAQ. All right. So I like to do this. I like to, on days that I know something is coming out, I like to get out ahead of the narrative, not in a weird, nefarious way, or, hey, look at me, clickbait and likes and attention, all that crap. But it's more like, here's what we know so far. So I put out a post yesterday morning. Here's what we know so far about IAE, about the location, times, schedule, etc. When this FAQ dropped, there wasn't a lot of new information necessarily, but a lot of the details that we were lacking is now out. So the limited hull ships, when each ship is going to be available to, I don't know, we call it the F5 war, but it's going to be available for you to pick up. I have some reactions about limited quote unquote, especially after the F8C news. We're going to get into that here in the next couple of seconds as well. But it did have a lot of great information. So we're going to cover this in preparation for IAE. So here we go. Let's get in. All right. So what is IAE? Guys, I don't know. There's 129 episodes of Beyond the Verse podcast. I'm not asking you to go listen to all 128 of those episodes in preparation, but IAE is the biggest event outside of CitizenCon, which is in person. The biggest in-game event is IAE, hands down. Now, its competition, if you will, is the Invictus launch week. And so there's two what I call high velocity events. It's what Amazon calls their like marketing pushes. But there's two like truly high velocity events. And it's ILW that happens in Q1-ish. I think it's Q1, Q2, early in the year. And then you've got IAE that happens in November. This is the biggest ship, though, or the biggest event. The differences are that ILW is just military ships. It's just a military celebration that happens. And so the only ships that you can rent and fly for free are the military ones, where IAE is everything. It's literally everything. It's almost 200 ships and ground vehicles that you can test fly for free. So if you were interested in getting out there in the Drake Golem and see just what kind of experience that is, or the Vulture, or maybe one of these like industrial ships that you've always kind of been curious about, but you were maybe a PvPer or maybe somebody who just wants to fly combat ships, here is your opportunity to broaden that approach. And I want to recommend it, guys. I want to recommend that you spend time this IAE doing something you wouldn't do in the other 11 months of the year. Truly, get out of your comfort zone. Try something new, because this is the time to do it. You're going to have access to literally everything. All right. So when is IAE taking place? No changes here. It's December 20th through December 3rd. Did I say December 20th? It is November 20th through December 3rd. That's about 2 weeks. I think it's a little bit more than 2 weeks. So that's no difference. It's like Thursday to that Wednesday. What time does the event start? It says IAE opens its gates on November 20th at 1600 UTC. It's usually the morning of, right? So it's like 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. on U.S. Central Time. So in Texas here. So really no difference there. There is going to be a free fly event, and good Lord, this is going to be a rough IAE. Here, let me just, for a couple seconds, come back to me. I got you. Eye contact. Oh, man. Okay, so we want more players. We want to grow the community. We want to grow the player base, like all true. And so free flies must happen. They must. They've been canceled earlier this year in the sake of having a smoother year and addressing, playability, right? But they're obviously going to have it this year. And so let's put this all together. There's IAE, which is arguably the highest velocity event that happens in the year, like we were talking about. You're going to have a free fly, like we're talking about right now, which means everybody who ever wanted to play StarCitizen can for free. But then there's a third thing here, that it's also the launch of an entirely new system called Nyx. And they're going to throw everybody together at the same time. So I don't know. I've been playing the Frontier Fighters finale this last week, and I finally finished. I got all the things, all the rewards for both factions. I almost didn't finish it because of how bad the desync was. Now, desync isn't only driven by server congestion. There's other things that go into it. So let me just be very clear. I'm not blaming people or players for having issues with desync. That's not what I'm saying. But if we're already having lag and desync issues, and I was playing like during the work day, theoretically, like around lunchtime, I am fearful of November 20th through December 3rd. It's going to be rough. And so here's the question I get most asked, right? Whether it's in my comment section, a direct message, friends from work, or outside of the game, they always ask me, hey, is now the right time to either get back in the game or start, new in the game? And that is a very, very difficult question for me to answer. I first joined in the middle of ILW. I would have not probably stuck with the game had I not been wowed by Invictus Launch Week and going into the convention center and just looking up and seeing all the ships and everything that you could walk in and out of. Like, I was won over by ILW. So I am a testimony of free fly events. So I support it. Obviously, I support it. But for those of us who have been playing for several years now at this point, I am nervous. Now, there is a dynamic here of server meshing, of having different shards and servers, or DGSs, dynamic game servers, spread out throughout the system. And now there's going to be 3 systems, clearly. And I think it was like a 644, 622. We'll look at the patch notes here in a second. But the mesh configuration should help with that. It should help. You're still going to have a max head count, right? Shouldn't be an issue. And again, you will be spread out. Some of us will be in Nyx, doing the ASD missions, while others are hanging out in Stanton in the Crusader area doing IAE. A little bit of mix of both and traveling back and forth and all of that, right? Just lower your expectations, right? As a StarCitizen player, you should always have your expectations low. Just trust me here. But especially for this event, just make sure you are measured going into next week, because there's a free fly event. All right, let's move on. I don't have a StarCitizen game package or in-game spacecraft. How do I travel to Orison? You're going to be given a Crusader Intrepid. Everybody in the game, everybody who opens up a brand new account, is going to be given temporarily access to a Crusader Intrepid. So if you just create an account, like using your email address, and then you click on the IAE Fly Now button, and it starts to download the game, and you're like, okay, well, it's free, so I haven't spent a single penny. I'm going to get into the game with no way of flying. It's okay. You will have a Crusader Intrepid, which is a sweet, sweet starter ship. It's a interdiction. Interdiction, that's not right. What's the interception? That's not a word either. I don't know what I'm trying. I don't know what I'm trying to say in this moment. I can't think of the word. But it is it's a fast ship. Why am I thinking interceptor? Is that right? Guys, I am so sorry. It's the faster ships that are used to quickly maneuver. I hate those moments. I'll remember it right after the podcast and post-production. I'll be like, oh my God, that's what I meant. But yes, it's a very, very, very fast ship. It's 6 SU, so 3 boxes on the left and the right side of the ship. A living quarters, a really, really great starter ship to get out there and get your feet wet. So there you go. All right, where does IAE take place? Where do I have to go? All right, so this is the Vision Center in Orison on Crusader. I guess it's still in Crusader because it's a gas planet. So get on one of the trains, and one of the trains will take you. All right, let's see here. You're going to log into the game. You're going to be in the habitations in Orison. You're going to run to the first train. Actually, there's 2 trains, and one will say headed to Providence. One's headed to Cloudview. And I'm probably getting all these names mixed up now at this point. And there will be a third option to eventually get to the Vision Center. Now, this is the same place that the bugging racing complex is. So if you've ever gone and raced the buggies, which you should go out and just have fun doing that. There is they're going to kind of I think they're going to replace it, because in the PTU they got rid of the buggy complex. I was thinking it would be instanced behind an elevator, right? So you'd get to the Vision Center, you'd go into the elevator, you would choose that you were going to IAE, and then it would be a different experience. But according to intel, the latest intel from the PTU, they're replacing the buggy complex center. Cool. How do I get to the Vision Center? I should have just popped open this image. So here you go. This is also helpful if you fly. Yeah, I was right. Here's Providence and Cloudview. I should stop second guessing myself. All right. So if you log into Orison, here's a map that kind of helps you get from point A to point B. You're going to log into the cloud. Is that CloudView? It's Providence. No, that's Industrial. So it is CloudView. You're going to log into CloudView. This is right. You're going to get into the train. The train's going to go out here, and it'll connect you to the August Dunlo spaceport. Once you get to the spaceport, you get on another train or stay on it, and it'll take you to the Vision Center. So Vision Center will take you around, and then put you out here. So here you go. Boom. The map. I also will create a video. I usually do this every year, but I'll create a video, put it on socials on here's how to make it to, the event. If you're flying in from another location, you just same thing. You fly into the August Dunlo spaceport, and then you aboard. You'll have like two options of trains. Three. You'll have three options of trains at the train center. And so jump on the train that gets you to Vision Center, and done. Cool. What ships are available to fly for free? Basically all 200. Each day of the IAE, there will be different ships available for you to test fly. Stay tuned for the full manufacturer schedule, which boopity boop is right here. So another image, great intel. How do I rent a ship? Well, in the Expo Center, there's two ways. In the Expo Center, there are kiosks, so you can go to the kiosk. But then also, if you go up to one of the ships that are on display, you can interact with that ship right then and there and rent it in that way. But let me just read it directly from the article. In the Expo Center halls, you'll find ships on display from a variety of manufacturers throughout the event. If something catches your eye, head over to the Traveler Rentals terminals in the main IAE hall during the Vehicle Manufacturer Day and follow the on-screen prompts to take it for a spin. In addition to the ships on the show floor, each Manufacturer Day also unlocks a wider selection of flyable ships, some of which aren't on display but are still available to rent through the terminals. Manufacturers cycle almost every day, so be sure to check back often. We'll share the full schedule shortly so you can plan your test flights. You can then head to the spaceport or any other ASOP terminal throughout the verse. Excuse me. When you rent a ship, you'll have it for 48 hours. All right, how many vehicles can be rented? You can rent every single one of them. Done. Which ships get the best in show? Guys, we covered this, through nausea at this point, but the Polaris, the Asgard, the Zeus, and the Gladiator, those are getting your ships. But let's read on when they actually hit your hangar. They will receive the limited edition Best in Show library as well as their in-game manufacturer poster. These are available to all players with these ships in their hangars. Additionally, the Polaris will receive a collectible in-game championship pennant to commemorate the glory of being this year's Ship Showdown champion. All right, where is it? Day one or is it the last day? If you already have one of these ships, you'll receive the IAE exclusive paint following the last day of the event at no cost. There you go. To be eligible to receive the paints, the specific Best in Show ships and not variants need to be in your web hangar at the end of IAE. Having them in your buyback list won't grant you the Best in Show paints. If you melt any of the ships before receiving the associated paints, then you will no longer be eligible. All right, so the important piece here is that you have to have the Zeus ES, not the Zeus CL or the Zeus MR. That's how I'm reading this. To be eligible to receive paints, the specific Best in Show ships and not the variants. Right? I interpret this sentence or this portion of the sentence as saying you have to have the ES, not the CL, not the MR. You have to have the Zeus ES. Okay. Everyone pledging for the Best in Show ship during the IAE will receive the paint and items as well. If you don't already have the ship, the vehicles will be bundled with the prizes during the Best in Show days following the 29th of November. Please note that these Best in Show edition bundles already contain the Best in Show paints and posters within them. It will not grant the standalone versions of those items. Cool. The Best in Show ships will also be available to fly for free between November 29th and December 3rd. Yes and no. Right? Because the RSI Polaris is open on RSI Day, which is November 20th and 21st. So you can rent the Polaris on day one and have it for 48 hours, and then come back and rent it again on November 29th through December 3. Cool. All right, let's talk about the freaking F8C Lightning. Okay, a little bit of history. So the F8C was, I believe it is the Wing Commander. There is a concierge level. Let me just pull it up as we talk. There was a concierge level of prizes, of rewards that gave you the base F8C, right? So that was the only way to get it. That's the only way that you were going to be able to get it, is being a concierge level at that level. And again, I'm about to pull this up. Let me just share my screen. I don't care. You guys can see that I'm Legatus Navium, or Navium. So whatever. I don't really want y'all to know that, but I think I've told y'all before. Okay, let's do this. I believe, yeah, it is Wing Commander. Again, I need to just trust myself more often. Good Lord. All right. So when you become Wing Commander, you get the Anvil Aerospace F8C Lightning, right? It's kind of the base, and you also get the Shockwave paint to go with it. This was the only way to get it. And then if you were going to become a Praetorian, you get the Anvil F8C Lightning Executive Edition, right? And so at the current moment, or at least when it first dropped and you were able to fly it, this was the only way. And then they immediately introduced like a ticket system, right? They understood that there was more of the community that would probably never become a Praetorian or a Wing Commander, but they would still want the ship, right? Why spend hours and hours of development and design on a ship that only a few, fly? It's a great question. So the ticket system kind of made everybody a little bit upset. So if you were a space whale and you spent, thousands of dollars on this game, this was like your exclusive, limited edition, if you will. But then the ticket system allowed just anybody to find a ticket, the golden ticket or whatever, to find a ticket. And then they would cash in that ticket, and that gave them the ability to buy. It wasn't like they got a free ship. It gave them the ability to buy an F8C the next time it was, IAE or it was on sale or whatever. So then that made everybody else mad because then you couldn't find a ticket. Even though they really wanted to spend the money to get the ship, they couldn't even, without getting the ticket. So let's go back to now this announcement for IAE. They are completely getting rid of the ticket system. Now anybody is going to have access to the F8C Lightning. I don't give a crap. I don't give a damn. In fact, I am on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, where I think limited and exclusive ships like CIG is just going to get rid of, period. Everybody's going to have access to buy a whole E, a Javelin, an Idris, right? Everybody's going to have access to buy a limited or exclusive, limited whole ship, whatever you want to call them, at some point before this goes live in 1.0. I promise you that. So I'm under the notion, I never was under the notion that this F8C would remain limited and exclusive. Like, why would a studio spend the time, energy, money, resources to develop a ship like the Javelin, like the Idris, and not make it available to everybody? Not making the thousands, the tens of thousands, the hundreds of thousands of dollars that they would make if they just opened up the floodgates. Imagine how much more sales that they would make. Like this whole limited, like they're trying to control how many of those ships exist in the verse. I'm not buying it. I don't buy it. There's already a head count that's capping everybody off. Like that will grow with a dynamic server meshing. I get it. I get the vision and where we're headed, but I also understand marketing. I do. Having been very, very close to it here at Amazon and Amazon Game Studios, I know how marketing works. I do. There is no way in hell that they're going to say no to hundreds of thousands of dollars of profit by not turning on the Javelin. Now that $3,000 price point, I think it's $2,700. That $3,000 price point might become $5,000. It might be more expensive, which makes it more exclusive and limited. Maybe. But I'm not personally shocked by the F8C now becoming available for anybody to buy. So let's get into the article. Previously, pledging for an Anvil F8C Lightning required players to locate a CDF F8C certification pass, commonly referred to as a gold license or a gold ticket, and redeem it at an in-game rental kiosk. These licenses were only obtainable through select in-game events. Starting with IAE 2955, the gold licenses will no longer be required. The F8C Lightning will be available to all players for pledge. Please note that the F8C Lightning is still limited to one per account. So if you previously pledged for one, you will not be able to pledge for a second. That said, we want to celebrate two groups of people: those who redeemed a gold license and previously unlocked pledge access, and those who have reached the qualifying concierge tier ahead of Anvil Day during IAE. If you are in either group, you will receive a special commemorative Nightweaver livery, which will be distributed during Anvil Day. This paint is not giftable. Please note, this reward will not be retroactively applied in the future, i.e., an example, players who reach the qualifying concierge level after IAE will not receive the commemorative paint. So they're making it special, and they're making it right by giving us paint. I don't know. What are y'all's thoughts? What are y'all's thoughts on limited hull ships or exclusive ships just being available for everybody? Are you like me where you don't really give a shit? And you're like, hey, fly what you want to fly. Who gives? I do, as much as I agree, or as much as I believe in what I said, I am a little bit more hard pressed to believe that they would do that to like a Javelin. But even then, a Javelin with engineering being turned on is going to need 60 people to run. So you should not be spending $3,000 on a ship if you don't have 60 people to do it with. Right? Just saying. What is new this IAE? For the first time in StarCitizen history, Twitch drops are landing. We'll get into that here in the next couple seconds. And we've chosen IAE as the stage for their grand debut. Watch any StarCitizen stream for a total of 4 hours during IAE to unlock an exclusive full armor set. As long as the streamer has opted in and participates in the Twitch drop campaign, you can just enjoy the show and claim your reward. For full details on how it works, click on this button. We'll get into that here in a couple seconds, so we're going to keep moving on. All right, price increases. Every single high velocity event, I feel like this happens. So we will get a price. It's going to price adjustment. Just call it what it is, guys. It's not going to go down in price, right? So they're trying to be PC here and say price adjustment. Their price increases. So the whole A, the whole B, the Raft, and the Raylin, all four of those are going to be more expensive after the event. So there you go. All right. Will there be, it doesn't say by how much, by the way. I know that's like the next question is how much is it going to increase by? We don't know that piece yet, but they are giving us the courtesy that if you want a whole A, B, a Raft, a Raylin, if you want one of those, now is the time to upgrade to them or get them before the prices do increase. So like I have a whole A, I will absolutely ship upgrade that to the whole B. The whole A is a great like 64 SU, great starter ship for cargo, but you know that you're going to want the Bravo. Like you know you're going to want that to really carry you into kind of the medium cargo hauling missions. So that's fair. All right. Will there be a War Bond daily deals available? Yes, as always. Right. So every day there's going to be a War Bond deal, meaning like usually it means like a longer insurance, but I'm pretty sure with IAE they're going to keep it as 120 month or what is that, 10 years, a 10-year insurance. So it'll probably just be like maybe an additional paint. Who knows? Maybe they include their IA blade. Who knows? Or flight blade, excuse me. but usually it's just like a cheaper price, longer insurance, a special livery or special paint that goes with it. But it would be interesting though if they included the flight blade pack with them. Anyways, we're not going to hash that conversation again and what flight blades are. Not yet, anyways. All right. Will there be quantity stock limited ships, guys? Here's the whole conversation over again. I don't want to hash this out another time on this podcast. At this current moment, that they are quantity stock limited, but I don't see how the MISC Hull E will be kept as an exclusive. I don't see how the Constellation Phoenix will stay as a limited. The Consolidated Outland Pioneer, I don't think that is going to be limited. They've already gotten rid of the land grab, right? So the 8 kilometer grid space that you can control as your base of operations that used to come with the Outland Pioneer, they already removed that. So it's even more just like any other ship at this point. So I think they're going to get rid of that, but maybe the Javelin, the Idris, the Krakens could potentially stay stock limited. So I wouldn't play into this too much, guys. It's kind of a marketing push. It's a spend money now for things that will probably end up becoming available to everybody down the road. And I will say this, more than likely, in fact, they already said with like the Bengal carrier, you can make all this, you can craft all this in game after 1.0. So again, just consider this, guys, before you spend $25,000 on this game to become Legatus Navium. Like, just consider when the game launches and you're able to craft all these ships, but you have them because you spent the money. Was it worth it? And the answer might be yes, and that's fine. It is perfectly fine. Look at me. I'm there. I'm one of those. And I'm okay with that. But if somebody asks me today, like, man, I really want the 890 jump. I think it's a beautiful ship. Look, it's your money. Spend it. But make that the ship that you really go for to be able to craft in the game when 1.0 drops. Have a reason to play. Okay. Do I need a copy of StarCitizen to enjoy the IAE? Sorry, excuse me. No, you do not. It's a free fly event. Click on Play Now page right here. There'll be other links that you can click on to have access to it. Can I invite a friend? Of course. I'm a new player. Where do I get more information? From the Beyond the Verse podcast. Next question. So that was an extremely long article of an upcoming event, but that's okay because that is next week and it's going to carry us all the way into December, as well as Nyx. So where are we at with Nyx? Hey, I'm really glad y'all asked. It's as if it was next on the agenda. So right now it's in the PTU. Alpha 4.4 is in the PTU. It's available to all waves. Everybody has access to this. All right. Well, I say that server info, PTU channel, US only. So actually the first time I've ever seen that. So this is a US only test. Don't know why. Okay. So we are testing Nyx, Levski, Delamar, which Delamar is the asteroid that Levski is in. So it's still just one location. So Nyx is a system without any planets. Levski inside of Delamar, done. So those are your locations. Interstellar hauling, external freight elevators, Vandal tech smugglers, Vandal missions, ballistic missile launcher, the boom tube, which is freaking amazing, and the new FPS weapon, triple threat. It is think of it as a revolver. I guess it's a revolver, but it's like a 3-tubed pistol. So that's fun. So the new FPS weapon, triple threat. If you've been listening to the last couple episodes, you know everything that we just said. You know what's happening. Interstellar hauling is going to be fun. It's going to give us a reason to pull out our CLs, right? The Zeus CLs. It's going to be a reason to pull out some of our larger. Like, it'd be really fun to see the whole B come out, but we know from reading the StarCitizen monthly report that it's probably not going to come out for this IAE. But the whole B is right around the corner. Like, again, these larger hauling ships are going to be a lot of fun, in my opinion. I'm going to be living a lot out of interstellar hauling. So good luck to everybody. Because again, yesterday's org night, people are camping jump points. So enjoy that while you can. Okay. So I think that's it. They polished Nyx. I think that's it though. Tech smuggler performance, lighting, art, audio, and a level of detail polish. All good. Guys, I still think this is all happening at once. There was a hope that we would see 4.4 like this week going into IAE, kind of having them separate. But it looks like they're going to put it all in one release, which, I mean, that is what it is. I know the PTU, you go in there, you already see the IAE signage. So technically, you could say they always were planning it in that way, but it doesn't remove my original wish, or my original hope was that they wouldn't do that. Because again, this is all going to happen at once. I really hope the game is playable when this happens. So we'll see. Okay. Whew. All right. I want to call out a lore drop. Now, there is a traveler's guide to Nyx that we read a couple of podcasts ago. And then we have another drop from a couple of days ago called the Galactic Guide Nyx System. This is absolutely a lore drop. Okay. So what this is pictures that you've seen before, already telegraphed. This goes through the background of the Nyx system. It goes through the background of each of the planets. I'm not going to read all of this. I'm going to leave it out there. Like, this is here. Read it if this interests you. I spent a lot of time talking through the IAE FAQ, and we got other things to get through between now and the end of the podcast. But again, this is a good lore drop to tell you, you know what? Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm going to pivot. I'm going to provide y'all a reading of this article. It's fine. I'm 49 minutes into the podcast. I usually try to target an hour. Now that I think about it, the only other article we have after this is Twitch drops, and then we go to the community polls and comment section. So let me go ahead and read this to you. I'm fine with that. I hope you are too. I'm going to read this, and then we'll get into the Twitch drops, and then we'll get into your comments and polls from the last week's episode. All right, the Galactic Guide to Nyx System. Let's see how many words I can butcher in the next couple of minutes. So let's bring out your counters. Let me know in the comment section how many mistakes I make, like saying mistakes. I made a mistake saying mistake. Here we go. Nyx was discovered in standard Earth year 2582 during the height of the newly formed United Empire of Earth's territorial expansion. The system consists of 3 planets circling an F-type main sequence star and 2 asteroid belts. Astronomically, the most distinct aspect of Nyx is that it is located directly on the border of a dark nebula, which gave the system its name. Nyx was first charted through a jump point in the Bremen system by solo nav jumper Carla Larry. Larry? There you go. There's my first mistake. Carla Larry, who described what she found in her official claim as lacking logical reason to apply the expense of terraformation. Despite her less than encouraging initial assessment, Larry did make an attempt to formally name the star's 3 worlds, Lou, Morgan, and Ashley, apparently after 3 separate romantic conquests she was pursuing. While the UEE government has never recognized these names, and they never have been widely used, Larry did say before her death that all 3 of the namesakes were touched by the gesture. Recently, Nyx has gained some additional utility as a transit system for supplies headed to the Synth World project, which means there can be a significant credit value of cargo moving through the system at any one time. Small-scale piracy is not uncommon, and travelers are advised to tread carefully when traveling through the system. Of more concern is the increasing number of Vandal ships that have been spotted near the Virgil Nyx jump point. Residents worry that this may be the prelude to a large-scale raid, and some have begun stocking up on weapons in response. The UEE has issued a warning that all pilots should steer clear of this part of the Nyx system unless it's absolutely necessary. Now we're going to get into the planets. Nyx 1. When it was first discovered, Nyx 1 was a coreless, heat-swept world that was a poor colonization candidate. While Nyx 1 was not technically a smog planet, it had an atmosphere laced with the very same gases that had continually blocked corporations from successfully terraforming such worlds. However, when a routine survey revealed the presence of high-grade metals beneath the planet's surface, multiple companies threw caution to the wind and tried their hands at transforming Nyx 1 into a friendlier place. But no matter what anyone tried, the technology at the time failed, and the atmosphere remained stubbornly poisonous. In spite of the dangerous conditions, numerous mining operations set up shop on Nyx 1 when they got word of what had been found there. And within 50 years, much of the planet's material wealth had been shipped off to Killian to help supply the Empire's ongoing war efforts. Profits eventually slowed thanks to constant wear and tear on the mining equipment from the searing heat, and one by one, the mining companies left for greener pastures. By 2630, Nyx 1 had been mostly abandoned. Centuries later, there may now be new hope for Nyx 1. In 2954, Genesis Terraforming began using their newly developed suite of terraformation platforms to scrub the previously irremovable toxins from the planet's atmosphere and replace them with the right balance of oxygen and nitrogen. This groundbreaking technology is the first of its kind and has the potential to solve the mystery that has been plaguing science since the advent of planetary colonization. How to terraform smog planets. If successful, worlds long thought uninhabitable, such as Baker 2, Kano 3, or even Sol 2, could be placed on the path to habitability. Nyx 2. That's Venus, right? Hold on. Sol 2 would be Venus. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. Yeah, Mercury, Venus. It'd be Venus. Interesting. So like Sol's, okay, I'm not going to get into that. Sol is like our sun. It's the name of our sun, and our system is called Sol. And it's usually Sol 1 is like the first planet that's closest to the star. So Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars would be Sol 3. Cool. Nyx 2. Cloaked in thick clouds of acid, Nyx 2 was once considered for terraforming due to its position within the system's green band. MIST conducted a serious study in 2585 to determine whether it could be made habitable. The end result was that it was next to impossible, and if attempted, would take considerable effort and expense. Traveling to the surface of the planet remains dangerous, even if explorers are protected from the deadly atmosphere. The stifling temperatures, the twisted terrain, and the air pressure present risks of their own. Good Lord. In the air pressure present risks of their own. Glacium Ring Asteroid Belt in Delamar. A dense asteroid belt circles Nyx's star between Nyx 2 and Nyx 3. While the asteroid field is home to numerous mining outposts, it is mostly known as a very good place to avoid unwanted attention. An unknown number of small settlements have been established on asteroids in the area and are home to a variety of fringe colonists seeking anything from life outside the UEE to a platform from which to operate outside the law. The highlight of these settlements is Delamar, the largest of the asteroids. Hidden deep in the Glacium Ring, it is the home of the People's Alliance, who transformed an old, abandoned mining facility into a colony and dubbed it Levski, after an old Earth revolutionary. Dissenters of the UEE's Messer era, the People's Alliance, made Delamar a haven for political radicals and anti-UEE sentiment in their pursuit of creating a fair government. While the People's Alliance has taken on a more passive role in recent history, Levski still attracts politically minded groups that are similar enough to live together, but different enough in their goals so they seldom get anything accomplished. Over the years, a criminal element has exploited the welcoming nature of the People's Alliance and taken up residence in Levski. The People's Alliance has tried to suppress it, since it makes their community a target for government raids and undermines their message about taking a stand against the corruption and criminality in the UEE, but it continues to linger. Nyx 3. The final planet in the Nyx system, located far from the sun's light, is an ice giant, a massive ball of frozen water and ammonia vapor. Nyx 3 has only seen minimal resource extraction owing to the hazardous work conditions in the planet's dangerous atmosphere. The Keegar Belt. This outermost asteroid belt has been a long favorite hiding place for those who prefer to do their business in the shadows. Some of its abandoned mining platforms are rumored to have been used as drop points for smugglers. And then they give us a traveler warning. While Levski's airlocks are open to visitors, they do ask that guests abide by the code of rules and morals that they've established or risk the residents' ire. As the signs that greet all those that land on Delamar say, even if you disagree with us, you will respect our right to life. Heard in the wind. Concerning news from the Nyx system, as Vandal ambushed a Castra-bound cargo ship last night and disappeared into the Virgil jump point before it could be apprehended. This is the third incident this month alone, and the people of Nyx are growing increasingly worried. Is a new invasion on the horizon? We'll hear from experts on Vandal behavior after the break. Empire Report, 2955, September 19th. We, the People's Alliance of Levski, are dedicated to the creation and continual development of a truly egalitarian community, where all sentients may feel safe and free to express ideas while supporting each other towards the communal goal of enlightened self-sufficiency. People's Alliance Declaration of Intent, 2655. Quote, to fully understand Levski, you must visit the hand-carved statue of Anthony Tanaka, the boy whose death became a rallying cry for the anti-Messer movement. While there are other sculptures of Tanaka in the UEE, none are as beautifully dark and defiant. The Observist Dark, 2945, September 16th quote. All right, not that bad. Not that bad for reading it for the first time live with y'all. It's again, I love the lore. I want to be very, very clear. I love the lore. And I started off my podcast 129 episodes ago having like a lore segment. Just like the history of Nyx 1. So Nyx 1 is not supposed to be this beautiful, habitable planet. Like the lore can still change. And so when I realized that and I started seeing some of the stories in the background kind of changing and ebbing and flowing, it's like I kind of moved away from that a little bit. Not that I disagree with it, not that I understand the game's an alpha and things can change, but I think there is a time to get into lore. And I say this being friends with Paul, the Astro Historian. I say this being very close and like I respect what he does. He does it very well. He does his craft extremely well. But for me, I'm going to hold off on really buying into a lot of the lore until things are officially like set in stone, etched in stone, won't change. So this, as we are getting really close to Nyx, like next week, I think you can call this set in stone. Like this is what they're moving forward with. They're actually using the Genesis technology. I know that's in-game lore, but it's also what the tool is called, Genesis, to create Nyx 1. Like, I love it. I love how they're tying in real life systems to in-game lore. It's great. I love everything about it. So I'm going to lean into like the Galactic Guide for Nyx, call it what it is. Great story, great background, kind of gives you some context when you get into Nyx, again, as early as next week. All right. CIG dropped this little doozy on us a couple of days ago. Twitch drops. I would say not that StarCitizen hasn't been playable for the last, 5-10 years, which you could debate on the word playable. But this is probably the first time that StarCitizen feels like a published game, in my opinion. Like, this is not uncommon. A lot of games, especially when they first release, lean heavily into content creators to get the word out, to get the gameplay out, and they use Twitch drops to make it worthwhile, right? To give a return on the viewer's investment. So you're going to go and you're going to watch a streamer for 4 hours. And usually what happens is like for the first hour, you'll get the helmet. For the second hour, you'll get the core. For the third hour, you'll get the arms. And the fourth hour, you'll get the legs. So that's usually how they do it. They do it piecemealed. Again, usually. I don't think we have that level of detail going into this Twitch drop. But from November 20th through December 3rd, so the duration of Invictus Launch Week, for the duration of IAE, you just need to watch 4 hours of any streamer that has this turned on, and you will be able to get the gear that's in front of you. So let's just go through the article real quick. Celebrate the upcoming launch of Alpha 4.4. Welcome to Nyx. With our first ever Twitch Drops event from November 20th through December 3rd, tune into any drops enabled in StarCitizen for a total of 4 hours to unlock the Geist Epoch armor set, a complete suit of armor and backpack, all free. It's the perfect time to jump in, explore Nyx, and gear up for adventure. And then there's some instructions on how to do this. It's very, very easy, right? You go into your CIG account, robertspaceindustries.com. You're going to click on your settings. You're going to go to linked account, click on Twitch, and you're just going to sign into your Twitch using their kind of overlay, and you'll have a linked account. So if you watch 4 hours in that linked account of Twitch, it'll automatically be added to your Hangar. And there are some FAQ drops right after that if you had more questions about how this works, but it's very straightforward. Very, very, very straightforward. All right, let's wrap up the show by getting into the polls in the comment section for episode 128. So last week's episode, we asked, what's the first thing you'll do when Nyx hits live servers? 44.4% of you say visit Levski. I think that's the only thing to do initially when you get there. Another 44.4% of you say trade and missions. 11.1% of you say screenshot tour. That's probably Groza. And then nobody said explore the system, which I guess, again, explore the system is kind of like includes everything. Visit Levski, screenshots. You're doing all that while exploring the system. So to be fair, maybe not the best fourth option to select. All right, let's get into the comment section. We only have a couple to get through. Whack Attack writes, the Aurora is great. What do you mean? Last IAE, I took out all the starter ships and mained them so I could provide better recs to friends, recommendations to friends. Of the two cheapest game packages, the Aurora is better than Mustang. Room for box missions, the SCU for storage, 4 size 1 guns for combat. I do low risk combat, then hand mine in the cave below. Especially with a bed, it's so livable. I guess they could make it less fragile and the SCU hardpoint more accessible, so long as they keep the silly pilot chair animation. Don't make it rotate. Okay. He's saying of the two cheapest game packages, the Aurora is better than the Mustang. Okay, so I could probably agree with that. I still think, like, if you go a little bit more, like if you go deeper into the starter packs, I think the Rambler is good. I think the Intrepid is good. I think the Nomad is good. The Nomad's great if you want to immediately get into cargo hauling. So I really like the Nomad. But again, it's not necessarily a starter ship, but if you're able to spend $100, like the price of a collector's edition game that just released, right? If you're able to spend $100, I would get the Cutlass Black. Now, again, that's not what you're saying, Whack Attack. I know you said the two cheapest game packages, but if you go and you play IAE for free and you get into it, you dabble in it and you're like, this is the game for me, I would save up your money and spend that $100 on the Cutlass Black. After that, I would probably, or not like in sequence, I would say if you can't get the Cutlass Black, I don't know. I'm going to say probably the Cutter, the Nomad. Again, these are just my opinions. Those aren't combat ships. You can tell where my mind's at and how I play the game. I'm not really combat focused or obsessed. But I do like the Nomad. The Nomad's a solid ship. You can live out of it. The Cutter, you can live out of it. It's a solid ship, even though it's Drake. It's fine. And then we have another quote from Anne. Anne writes, "Hi, I'm looking to try out the game and the free flight. I am new to the verse, but I am curious if there will be a starter pack sale during the incoming event so that I can grab the game with a discount. Also, if someone could tell me if the Crusader Intrepid starter pack is worth it, well, you're going to find out because it's the ship you're going to get for free regardless. I like the style, the inside of the ship, and I've read recently that engineering is coming to the game, and this ship has it. So it should be worth it, ? Hoping to hear someone's opinion." Yeah, I did respond to Anne's message kind of in the Spotify comments, but I'll say it again here. So they're giving everybody the Crusader Intrepid, so you'll be able to fly it for free regardless of getting yourself a pack. So try it and find out if that's the starter ship for you. There are going to be starter pack sales. There are for every single high velocity event, really every event period. They always have starter pack sales. So I would buy the pack that kind of fits you. And it is, guys, like it depends on how you want to play the game initially. If you want to get into combat, if you want to go straight combat, there's a Mustang starter pack. There's a Titan Avenger starter pack. There's other starter packs that get you at least going. But if you want to go straight into cargo hauling, I like the Nomad. The Intrepid, it's only 6 SCU, but it'll still get you started with delivery missions and cargo hauling missions, the small ones. So it's just a very difficult question to answer because it just depends on how you want to play the game. But I would encourage you to join an org, whether it's Soul Provision or someone else's org. Join an org and just have that community to bounce ideas off of. Fly their ships. I'm telling you right now, if somebody were to come up to me and say, "Hey, Sulyce, I would love to fly a Polaris. Can I test out your Polaris?" Absolutely. Could care less. I would absolutely meet up with you in a hangar, call it up, have you fly out with it. Too easy. Wow. So find that community. All right, everybody. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up as I die. Apparently, I can't get through an outro as my throat is like closing up on me. So I hope this finds everybody well. If you want to become part of the conversation, you can do so by responding to our Spotify polls and comment section like we just did. You can email us at contact@beyondtheversehq.com. But if you want to learn anything else or anything more about what we do as a podcast, an LLC, or an in-game organization, you can do so at beyondtheversehq.com, soulprovision.com. Our Extra Life philanthropy is still going on. So if you want to give to children's hospitals around the nation, you can do so by beyondtheversehq.com/give. And again, all that money goes directly to Extra Life. It's a pass-through from us. We don't see it. We don't manage it, and thank God. Wouldn't want to. So again, I hope this finds everybody well. Safe travels as you traverse beyond the verse. Take care.